to Indies Live. Super stoked. Maybe I should bring my mic over so you can hear me. Sorry about that. Hi. It's been a while since I've done an Indies Live, so I hope everyone can hear me now that I have the microphone in place. Please let me know if you cannot, and I will fix it. But hopefully you can hear me fine. I'm super excited to dig into audits for y'all today. So I'm going to go ahead and pull up the watch page. Now, if you are new here, this is an audit session. So generally we don't address general questions. This is for checking out your landing page or looking at your fan finder to see if there are improvements to be made, things like that. So I'm going to be auditing assets that indies have been using in any existing campaigns or ones that are coming up. So if there are questions in the comments section, I will, if I have time, get to those after. Usually we don't, so you may want to repost that for the Q&A next week. That said, those are the rules. Let's get into this right away. Christopher says, whose beats did you guys use for the intro? That is actually my song, which is called What You Wanted. It's a remix done by Ignacio Skinone, who is he's one of our concierge services, and he also does a ton of cool stuff under the name Bad One. So you can go check him out on Spotify if you want. So, all right, now let's get down to business because we don't have a lot of time, and I want to get to everyone's as soon as possible. If you want your things audited, you can go to the watch page. If you are not currently on the watch page, it's indiepreneur.io/INDIESLIVE, all one word, /watch page, all one word. And you can post your comments or questions there. All right, so first up is Chris Richardson. He said, didn't know if I should post it above or below, so I'm posting it on both. Here's my poorly performing fan finder we talked about. And Chris and I actually had spoken about his video in the Indie Pro group, and he was saying that his costs are kind of high. So let's take a look. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so you guys can see what I'm seeing. I do not have system audio feeding through, so don't feel bad about that. All right, so I'm taking a listen. I believe, Chris, you also said in the group that you got some robo flags on this because you guys were wearing masks. I think if you probably put that through the approval process, you'll be good. Typically, once you get a human to review those, they're like, oh, yeah, this isn't political at all. Okay, cool. So the first thing that I would say just off the top is that I like the idea. I do think that your co-dancer is struggling a little bit to be in touch with you, which isn't going to really be a big problem, but something for consideration. The other thing is that there's not really any adjustment of perspective, right? So getting somebody to a 75% view of this might be difficult because unless they really love your dancing, they're not going to stick around, you know? So it'd be cool if you were able to redo this and have the camera moving around a bit. It doesn't look like it's on a tripod because there is a little bit of human movement to it. But I'd almost rather, have someone kind of panning around you guys so that it kind of changes a little in what it looks like, right? Because otherwise it's relatively static, even though you guys are dancing in it. So that would be my knee-jerk right off the top. I do think that it's a very creative idea, right? And the dancing is cool. She's a great dancer. I don't know if the guy is you. He's a good dancer. They could be a little more synced up at the beginning, but that's probably more like a dancing thing, right? So non-dancers may not even notice that at all. yeah, otherwise, I think, you could just, I think it's the movement. I think that it may just look a little too static. But other than that, I think it's a cool idea. I don't think the mask thing is a problem at all. So anyway, so I hope that is a little bit helpful, right? I do think that you could probably increase your 75% viewers if the camera had some motion, like going all the way to the left and right of you guys, coming up from underneath and, getting some movement there, zooming in on you guys, stuff like that. I think that would help a lot. So, but overall, cool idea. Hopefully that is helpful. All right. So, I'm going to go on to the next question, which is, you had said you don't need to start over. Right. Yes. As far as targeting is concerned, it's really wise to, and I had said to Chris that he was like, should I start over? Because he's trying to get to his 1,075% views, because at that point you can make a lookalike of 75% views and hopefully get people, that are a better fit and are more likely to watch your video to 75%. The thing is, lookalike is, especially, for example, if you're in the US, 1 to 2% lookalike is millions of people. So I think 1% is 4.1 million or something like that. So it's difficult for the machine to really learn from 1,000 people, right? And so lookalikes that are built off 1,000 people don't always outperform audiences that are built that are just interest based, right? It's kind of a throw up in the air, because sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. So if any of you are creating audiences that are from a 1,000 or even 5,000 people data set, and you see that the lookalike is not outperforming, just stick with your interest targeting that you were using in the first place, and just roll with that for a while. What we're really paying for here is not necessarily the views or the comments or the shares. That really isn't the objective as far as what we're trying to do. We're trying to get data, right? So we can get those views and then move those people to the next portion of your buddy system. So, I would say don't always feel like the lookalike is going to be the winner. Monitor them closely, and if the lookalike is not outperforming, then go ahead and switch to the other set. And that's it on that. So hopefully that's helpful, Chris. You are not the dancer. Got it. You don't have those cool moves? I can't dance. I'm not even going to talk about that. Okay. So the next question, and if you guys want to follow along with the questions, you can go ahead and go to the watch page. I've tried to share my screen with comments before, but most people can't. It's too small and people can't see it anyway. So if you want to follow along and see where you are, you can go to the watch page and check it out there. All right. So next up is Houston. He says, hey, we're working on a free plus shipping and handling strategy to drive some more conversions. We're attempting to do it as affordably as possible and use landing pages created through Squarespace partnered with Shopify checkout buttons. Okay, cool. Our online store is hosted in Shopify. I plan to use Facebook ads to drive traffic and lead folks to this page, which then leads to an upsell offer. Was just hoping you could check out the wording and layout and see if there are any glaring issues or if I'm on the right track with what we've got so far. Thanks, link below. Okay, so I'm going to check that out. Now, I don't know if you know Houston or if anyone else needs to know, but Jesse did do, I think, a ground report 2 months ago that was talking about doing Squarespace landing pages with a Shopify store, because Shopify, without a lot of expensive plugins and things, Shopify is not generally great at pushing conversions. So, Thrivecart is a great option. ClickFunnels is another option that I'm not a fan of, but other indies use, that are more funnel based. But if you don't want to add all those costs to your stack and you're using Squarespace and Shopify, Jesse did do a breakdown of that, and I'm assuming that some of this stuff is going to be, that Houston built is going to be very similar. So the first thing I would say, Houston, is I would definitely watch out for this pop-up. I don't know if you have it installed in the header of your entire Squarespace, or if it's, if you can customize the pages, but definitely if you're doing a landing page for conversions, you're not going to want that pop-up there, because it's a distracting thing that we just don't like to have on landing pages. So now I'm going to go through your site here. My very first reaction is that you've got a lot of fonts going on here, right? We've got this one here. We've got these two, the claim your free copy, and just below that. And then there's a whole other one for your image card up here. So what I would recommend is at most 2, right? Generally, I try to find a strong font for headings. And what's great about that is that headings don't have to be as readable, right? Or as legible necessarily. So, they need to be legible, but you can have a little more fun with it. And then you can find a complementary font that is easy to read. So if you're not sure how to get all these edited in Squarespace, when you go to styles, just make sure that this one is open, and just know that it'll change site-wide, but you can pick your 2 fonts and brand it all the same way. And I would definitely recommend doing that. All right, so I'm going to read through your copy now. Claim your CD now. Cool. Yeah, I think this is simple, makes sense, right? You can definitely, hide this footer if you want. Something that I have noticed when I'm doing free plus shipping and handling is that some people who want to know more, when they're like, hey, who are these guys? Or for me, who's this girl? And they're still interested, I actually have a discography link down in the footer, which is not something that we necessarily recommend in all cases. But I find that a lot of people will exit my landing page and go look at my about section. So it's something you could test, something you could try, right? Because if they're not really sure what is on the CD, right? If you're feeding this to an audience that may not know the track listing, that can be something that then they can go look at it, right? So that's not typically a landing page recommendation, but it kind of just depends on how warm this audience is that you're sending it to. So those are my comments there. Let's see when I click on the CD. Okay, interesting. So I don't know if you just haven't integrated your buy buttons yet, but it didn't. Oh, I understand. Okay, so it's taking me to this other page, and then they can say, no thanks, just the CD. And then it takes me to Shopify, it's looking like. Okay, great. So let me go back and select a t-shirt. Let's say I want a large. Okay, great. And it's adding those both in there. All right, so those are working well. Something I would recommend, this is a little bit different layout from what Jesse had showed in the ground report that he did. And I would actually recommend checking that out, Houston, because the only thing with this is that because there's another page, it's just easier to lose people, right? I don't think there's a problem here with it. I do like that you've got your image here on, someone wearing the shirt. I think that's great. And then you've got kind of a static image here so that people can kind of see what it would look like without this, really beautiful blonde chick in it, right? So, I definitely like the presentation of that. I would just say go ahead and take a look at Jesse's ground report, because the way that he has it laid out is that it's all on one page, and there's a drawer that opens from the side that's actually integrated into the page. So people can actually look at all the products on the page, click add to cart, and they can see it stack up in the drawer real time on the same page without having to click through or do anything else. So this is, something you could definitely test, but I would also test the other format that Jesse shows, because it might result in more upsell conversions for you. So that's my 2 cents there. Again, just the font thing, right? I would leave this in your secondary text, in your more readable text, right? Instead of a heading. And I would make this bigger. If there's any way for you to like strike out the $20, that can also do really well, instead of like putting it in text. So if you put the title of what the tea is called and then had $20 next to $14, but do strikeout text on the $20, that can also be a really good strategy for that. So hopefully that helps. Otherwise, I like your color scheme, very simple. And to me, it really, this green color looks really great with the rest of your art. So I dig it. I'm into it, man. All right, cool. So that is all for you, Houston, for now. All right, we got Joe Chesterman March in the house. What's up, Joe? All right, so you've got a fan finder that's doing decently, about 15 pence per 50% video view, because it's a long video. Okay. With decent comments and tags. It's the second fan finder I've run because the first one was getting the wrong crowd. So here that is. I'll open that in another tab. And then you said for both fan finders, you ran a follow-up video to check the audience was a good one. What surprised you, though, is that the engagement has been the same for the wrong audience and this new, more suitable audience. See here. Bear in mind, the George video is longer than the Tilly video, and the Tilly video is this one. Okay, so that's your old fan finder. Got it. My question is, does this mean I'm still not getting the right audience? My first fan finder had very little relation to the follow-up, whereas the current combination is the same visual style and type of music, so I expected better engagement. Okay, got it. So let me take a look here. I'll share my screen once again. Something went wrong. Well, that's no good. Hey, my name's in this title. Well, I like it. Just kidding. I can still look through the comments and things, but definitely check that out. I don't know if that's just me or if that's happening to other users, but run that to ground. Make sure that's not happening. All right. So, and how many reactions do you have? Okay. So it would be good for me to know, how many of these 64,000 views. Oh, look at that. Facebook made that nice for me. Okay. Yeah. So this is a low amount of engagement for the number of views that are on this post. But yeah, I mean, I see a ton of tags here. I think this is cool. I don't know. I'm not so worried. I mean, you said this is the new one. So, but you're doing great with engaging with people. So I think that that's really important. I definitely see that on my ads, when I comment back to everyone, they're like, oh, you actually talk to everybody. And it's like, yep. Okay. Same thing with this video. Okay. And how many views? Okay. So all the views are on this post. Got it. So it's hard for me to tell you for sure, but it does look like in ratio to the views, you're actually getting kind of the same engagement, just less comments, right? And that's the thing about comments, is that it's really difficult to know if they're the right people. So I'm trying to kind of sort in my mind what it is that you are looking for, as far as who the wrong crowd is, who the correct crowd is, right? So, yeah, that's something that I would love more detail on. So, perhaps post that in the group. Just be careful not to tag me, because Gracie will ban you. She'll remove your thing. So don't tag me, but you can mention me, and then she'll let me know as she's scanning them. But I really do need to know more about, what you consider the right audience. What's your objective? Who are the people that you're trying to reach? Because we cannot, on comments alone, assume that we're reaching the wrong people, right? Because it's possible that the right audience doesn't comment a lot, right? That's just their avatar. That's just what they look like, because there are a lot of people who will consume an ad and not say a word, you know? So, but I'd love to hear more about which audiences you're looking for, which ones you thought you were getting, and, see if we can identify the differences. I also wish that the videos would play, because I could, try to give you some feedback there to see if there are, comments, if there's something more engaging about the video that is getting more comments. But unfortunately, they wouldn't play. So please do post a follow-up in the group. Again, don't tag me, but that would be, I think that'd be a good way for me to get a little bit more insight into what you're looking for. So, all right, next up is TJ. I love me some TJ. All right, so TJ says, would love an audit of my landing page for launch, as well as thank you page. I also don't know how to make it easy for them to invite people, and brainstorming ways to incentivize it. Okay, that's cool. So let's take a look first at your landing page. I'm going to open these in the tab. All right, cool. I like the background already. You deserve more than just a Spotify link. That's right. And we want to give it to you. I'm going to look at the bottom here. Okay, cool. So, great. You've got a video here. Cool. Okay. I actually really dig how you've got this laid out with this meme right here. I just think that it brings a casual kind of feeling to it, which is great. Okay, so name, email, claim your spot. You've got a countdown here. Cool. I wonder if you could, and I don't know what this is built on, but it'd be cool if you could right justify the countdown and left justify the text, just so they're together. The only thing I would say, and I was thinking this at the top, but it wasn't as glaring at the top, but you may want to either lighten your overlay or, darken your overlay or lighten the text, because it's not perfectly legible. It's not terrible, but I definitely feel like it could be more contrasting and be easier to read. Obviously, like this button, right? You totally know what that is. But this dark font is a little bit, it's just not quite as legible as it could be, especially since you do have portions of the page that have all this brightness, right? So the other thing is that it looks like the margins on the sides of this text could be squished a little bit. Just give it some more padding, right? Well, that would be horizontal padding, because, depending on what device they're on, it's just difficult when things are spread all the way justified to the very edges of the page. I think, too, you could give this a little more room, which this one's pretty good. Yeah, the padding on top of the rest of your sections are fine to me. It's just maybe this section and this countdown at the bottom here. I also would, this is probably just an oversight, but I would actually make that button visible even when it's not being hovered over. So, but yeah, I mean, otherwise I am an emoticon addict, so I like the emoticons personally. There's no data to say that they're better or whatever, but I like them. I also like that your main opt-in is very, very bright. It also shows above the fold, right? Which means that it's visible as soon as you land on this page. So I'm into it. I would say the same thing as I've said before. It could be good for you to have a heading text and then the more legible text. These look the same. I'm not 100% sure that they're the same, right? Just because they're formatted a little differently. But keep it consistent, right? Like bold and all caps in headers or not, right? Just make it consistent, because as people scroll down the page, they get it's a sub-psycho thing, but they get more comfortable. They feel like they know where they are. So that's the only other thing I would recommend. Obviously you've got a different font in the blanks here, stuff like that. So, yeah. And then again, this is not all caps. So, I'm really nitpicking here. These aren't like make or breaks in whether or not people are going to opt in, but I think it's stuff that's helpful to know. So let's take a look at your thank you page. Bam! Thank you for signing up. Okay, so currently, if I click on this, and you said you're not sure how to do it, so it doesn't look like that's leading to anything right now. So I'm assuming that that's what you're saying. Hey, I could use some help with that. There are just various web code type plugins that will help you do social share. So it could be Twitter, there are many different avenues, right? Even Pinterest sharing. Shopify, for example, has this stuff all built in. But if you Google it, you can actually find many developers who have some kind of basically code integration where it's written in either HTML or Java, and you just put that embed code into the page on that button. So, and then it would pop up and they could, share it with someone else. So that's what I would recommend for that, because otherwise it can be a little bit difficult social sharing is just the easiest way to do it, and it's a very low ask, right? So the other thing that you could do is follow up in your response email and have them share from there. Invite them to share, even just by sending it to someone or sending them to a Facebook post and tag someone. You could, also say that. So it's not necessarily the most trackable action, but those are the two ways that I would recommend taking a look at it. So overall, I dig it. Yeah, just those fonts and the padding mainly is what I was noticing, but otherwise it looks good to me. So, all right. Next we got James, who is posting some questions. So James, I think I'll have time, so I'm going to come back to you because this is an audit session. So I want to make sure everyone with audits gets answered first. All right. So next question. Hi, Corrin. Would be great if you could take a look at these two pages. So there's page 1, which is a free plus shipping and handling offer you did last week and sold 34 free CDs, 12 upsell CDs of €10, and 4 t-shirts of €16. I'll do this campaign within a few months again, and was wondering if you maybe could see things that could be better. Right. Okay. Got it. And then your second one, this Sunday, you're going to release your membership. So exciting. I'm very happy that I can do it on our own Shopify website with only an add-on by Bold for €10 a month, up to 50 members instead of giving Patreon 8%. I totally agree. Not only are you not paying 8% to Patreon, but you're going to have your own customer data. You'll be able to contact them whenever you want, however you want, and it's pixelable, right? So you can track conversions with that and run ads to it and know if those ads are resulting in membership one-to-one, for sure getting that conversion, whereas Patreon, you kind of have to make an intelligent guess. So I dig that a lot. So I'm going to bring up your pages. All right, so this is your free plus shipping and handling. Cool. All right, so I'm going to read through this. Awesome. Cool. I'm interested to know, if you're here, what this is built on, just so that I know what limitations you may be working with as far as adding things. But I do think that what you're doing here is a good adjustment if you're working in something that doesn't really allow you to have a diverse funnel, right? You're making the offer, and then you've got the upsell, and then they select one or the other. And, that's a great way to kind of work around if you don't have some kind of, funnel builder, right? I know that there are funnel builders for Shopify, but they're a little wonky or expensive, one of the two. So this is a great option. I don't have a ton of feedback here. I like that you've got the track list. Obviously, you have the benefits here. The only thing that might be cool is to maybe dress up the fonts a little bit. It's looking kind of standard, so it could be cool to have that a little more on brand. There are plenty of fonts that look like, for example, the title work that's on your album. Actually, kind of both of them. I love kind of the retro feel of this. So kind of integrating that branding and styling into the page instead of just having that standard black might make it feel just a little bit more like real deal. So, and then bringing that font kind of into it. So otherwise, outside of branding, I think this is pretty good. You've obviously got consistent colors here. It goes along with your album art as well as, just the overall brand. So I can see why it would do decently well, You've got all of the information that you need to. So I would just say styling in the header and, I would actually separate some of this too. Like, don't make track list as big as this one, for example, but make track list kind of a heading. So either bold it or make it just like a couple pixels bigger, depending on the options and the tool that you're using. And that kind of helps outline the benefits a little bit more clearly visually, right? So that's what I'd say. But otherwise, I think it's simple. Landing pages really should be simple. You possibly could even take out the track list, depending on who you're selling this to make it even more streamlined. And, then they don't have to consider a ton of things. If it's a warm audience and they like you, then you may not need to list the track list at all, and take that out and play a little more with the rest of the explanation. You could even just say, a full length with 12 tracks, something like that. And an EP with six songs, something like that. So, but that's pretty much it for this. I would just say branding, really, more than anything. Pretty it up a little bit, but not too much, just a little bit. All right. So, and this is your membership page, which is, whoa. Okay. So, I'm getting that you've got black backgrounds in your branding. I do think that, I thought there was something here, but it's a shadow of my mic stand. I was like, what is that? Anyway, so I dig this. It'd be cool. If you look at pricing pages, I can see you kind of, try to build it in that way. But if you take a look at pricing pages, so let's just say we go to, I don't know, maybe Thrive Themes has it. Oh no, they only have one plan. I'm trying to think of a pricing page. I think you probably know what I'm talking about, where there's blocks, right, of Pro. In fact, Restream, which is what I'm using for this. Oh, it has me signed in, so that's not going to work. Let me see what ClickFunnels pricing looks like if they do it. All right. Lead Pages probably has one. Okay. Goodness gracious. Well, of course, when I am trying to show you something, it does not appear, and my mind is a blank of an example to find. Okay. So something like this, right? Where it's got the 3 columns. This is obviously a very marketing kind of page, but you could totally dress it up and make it more brand fitting for you, which if you look at it, oh my goodness, my screen just wants to do whatever it wants. If you look at this, it's actually a really similar structure, right? It is hard to kind of read. Just you've got this in red, and then there's white and red. And I think that this is a little bit hard to read and dissect, but it could be a lot easier if you just put some dividers in here and, look at, how this is structured, right? So for example, you get this. And so for your different membership levels, it's 2 weeks early, 3 weeks early, 4 weeks early, right? So if you put new music coming and you get advance notice, you could put 1 week, 2 weeks, whatever it is. So that might be something that I would take a look at. But overall, I think that you're offering some cool things here. And I like that you're saying everything from this, plus this, right? Which is a very Patreon style way of doing it. So yeah, definitely take inspo from, what you do see on Patreon, because we know that model does work. It's just not the perfect platform to do that on. So yeah, I dig this a lot. I mean, you may want to consider, if you're launching it, making it a static landing page very similar to your other page, right? Where you don't have a menu bar at the top and you don't have these, fancy things at the bottom. You might want to make it a little bit more cut and dry for this specific offer. I don't think that, you're launching on Sunday, so that's coming really soon. So it may not be worth, getting too in the weeds on it, but I do think that you could stand to have it be just a little bit more legible. For example, if this was on a white background and you used black text, or even if it was on like a light gray background, which can still merge with black branding, and then had, red as your heading, the actual text being red instead of highlighted in red, that would make it a lot more legible. And, I think that there's just a little bit of cleaning you could do up to make it more make it easier to read. So, but I think your offers are cool. I think the assets, like, there's a very clear difference between, what you get at this plan, at this plan, at this plan. They're all very affordable. So I dig it. I like it a lot. So yeah, just take a look at how it's structured. Make sure it's easy to read. Maybe run it by a couple of friends and see how, they like it when they're looking at it. But overall, I love the idea. I would just make that, try to make it a little bit more simple, and perhaps make it more of a landing page than a general page on your site. Hide that header, hide that footer. So hope that's helpful. Cool. So I'm going to check in on the comments right quick and refresh this page while I'm at it. All right. So Christopher can't dance. That's funny. Yeah, I am not a super talented dancer either. Okay. Tom likes my hoodie. I know, right? Available at gear.indepreneur.io. Small plug. All right. I wear this hoodie. I get comments even from my teammates at Indepreneur that I wear this hoodie a lot, but it's outerwear, whatever. Okay. So I also want to check out the Facebook comments, because I know some people hang out on the book. All right, cool. So let's continue on. All right. So TJ saying Thrive Architect, and yes, I can do that. Yes. If you're using Thrive Architect, you can definitely do all the things. So do that. Houston said, thanks for your input on time sawyer landing pages. I had come across Jesse's ground report, which led me down that path. Some great stuff in there. Yeah, definitely. The way that you're doing it, Houston, is not totally broken. It's not a huge problem, but if you do it the way Jesse, he had some really good success with those buy buttons. And, a lot of people like that drawer coming out. So I would definitely take a look at that. I didn't know if there was a way to do it through some more personal text, email, something like that. Okay, yeah, I gotcha. It does nothing. So yeah, you could totally, TJ, just to revisit, you could completely ask people via email to, share the post by giving them a direct link to it, or like go to this post and either share or tag a friend. I'd love for them to join us. That kind of verbiage would probably be great. All right, so we got another chunk of questions and audits in here. All right. Ian asked a question. I'll come back to you, Ian, because this is an audit session. All right, Lewis. Here's a look at my fan finder. Thinking of doing a similar one for the new single. Do you think the kitchen adds or removes from the experience? Okay, got it. Let's check out your biz. Okay. You got captions. Look at you. Yeah, people ask for captions on my videos commonly, and it's definitely something I have not done, which I should do. I want to hear the audio on this. Okay. Yeah, I don't think the kitchen adds to what you're doing necessarily, Lewis. I do think that it's not the kitchen isn't really a problem except that it's static, right? Which is the same thing as I was talking about our first video in the session today, is that it just kind of it's static. Obviously this one is on some kind of tripod or stand, and we're in a pandemic world right now, so it can be very difficult to get someone to help take a video. So I think that's something that may be making the kitchen more of an impact in a not great way than if you were moving around, right? I really noticed that laundry basket. That's just glaring to me a lot. So maybe move that. But if you do have a roommate or anyone who lives with you, it could be good to just get a little bit of movement. If that's not possible, then maybe you try a closer view. I think really, we don't need to see anything below the guitar, right? So you could at least zoom it in a little bit more, and you'll probably get better engagement there. So, but yeah, otherwise, I don't think the kitchen is necessarily a problem. I mean, obviously, it's in the copy. So if you just, kind of move, I love that you're taking a drink of water in the middle of the video. Yeah. So, which is very on brand with the kitchen thing. So yeah, I think if you could involve some movement and crop it in a little bit, that might give you a better reaction to the kitchen. And I do think that, the copy is compelling just because of the world that we're living in right now. So that would be my 2 cents on this video. Let's see, how long is it? We got, okay, 3.5 minutes. Yeah. Or just over. Whoops. So yeah, I think it could definitely use some cropping and a little bit of movement, but otherwise, what are the options we really have right now, right? So yeah, that's my 2 cents there. All right, cool. So next up is Jacob. All right, so Jacob says, okay, question. I'm thinking, okay, wait, this is a question. I'll come back to you, Jacob. All right. I too did not know the protocol for posting above or below. That's interesting. I don't even really know what you guys are saying, honestly. Or maybe you're talking about the YouTube chat. If you are posting a link in the YouTube chat, it will not let me click it. It will make it a non-link. So and that's the biggest reason we have this section down here. So just for anybody who's wondering, that's why we have it here, so that you can link out to your stuff. All right. So this is your link. I'm going to get that open in a tab. This is my first brand new fan finder. Congratulations. So far, so good, but my budget was small. Hope I did this right. I'm super new. Didn't really word a question for you because you read minds, but are you on to me? How did you know? Oh my gosh. I was wondering if you'd give me any kind of audit or input. The feedback on the post looks healthy and there are a lot of engagements, but because it's my first one, I just appreciate your thoughts if you see something glaring and terrible. Okay, great. So yeah, we always need some affirmation when we're, okay, so obviously it's me because this is also not playing. So maybe it's a Facebook thing right now. All right, there we go. And now it works fine. Bogus. I love the copy because it obviously alludes to something else. So I like that a lot. And it looks like people are responding, with comments that respond to the copy. So that's a good thing. The only thing I would say, I think this looks great. You've got some good comments and obviously reactions. One thing that is difficult when you use funny copy is the laughing because you don't know if that's a good reaction or a bad reaction. But in this case, it'll be read as a good reaction from anyone who's new. So the only thing I would kind of speak to is that every once in a while you look like you're glancing at lyrics. I don't know if you're doing that just because you feel awkward, right? Or if you are reading lyrics. I do see some kind of screen there in front of you. So that's not a big deal, but it might be something to take a look at. Overall, though, I like the vibe. I mean, this is very much what people are expecting right now, that musicians are kind of working from their homes and stuff. And the audio is good. Yeah. The thing is, and actually, I've worked with someone at YouTube. I've talked to some of the YouTube people who are in charge of YouTube music. And one thing that they have mentioned is that people are very forgiving of not beautiful video right now because it's kind of expected. They don't necessarily want it. And this is something that, we've said frequently at Indepreneur is that, don't worry about it being some kind of perfect video, right? Candid stuff does so much better. But people tend to be far more forgiving of video than audio. And your audio sounds good. So I think that's probably a good sign, right? And that I can see that the reactions and the comments, though there are a couple of names I noted, I recognize this one and I recognize this one. So there's a little bit of priming happening here, but I still think that it's pretty great. And you are responding to comments, which is super duper important. Especially, you've got this whole thread here going back and forth and then linking them out to Spotify, which is totally fine if someone is asking for where your music is and you don't currently have a sales page. Sending them to Shopify is fine. And if you notice, before I actually clicked to expand that, this was the comment that popped up, right? So if anyone else is looking for streaming services, that's going to pop up. So, and that's what the most relevant filter does to users. So yeah, overall, I think it looks, you look cute, you sound good, right? So I dig this a lot. And I, of course, really love your hair because I love my bright colors. So yeah, I think overall it looks good. Great job. All right, so Matt's next. I have a pop-up with an email opt-in incentive, say that 3 times fast, offer on my front page of my site. I'm wondering how I could improve this. All right, so let's click through to Matt's site. Picture! There's a big old picture. All right, cool. And there it is. Okay, so I like that there's a little bit of a delay. I hate when I land on a site and immediately something pops up. I see that all the time. And it's like, can I just look at the thing that you've built first? So, okay. And it's a single photo landing page. And then you've got your links up in here. So, okay. And they drop down. Great. So, okay. Got it. Now, I'll be honest. I did not even read this when it popped up. Now, it might be because I'm auditing the page, but Is this a MailChimp form? Show is. See how I guessed that? I think actually it would be great if you made this page the opt-in instead of having it as a pop-up. Pop-ups can result in what's called ad banner blindness, which obviously it's not a banner, or maybe it's banner ad blindness. I don't know, creative liberties. I'm going to call it what I want. But sometimes when things pop up or there are certain things, that come up that are kind of obvious ad things that people are used to seeing, they don't read it, right? So you've got a great visual here. For some reason, it's just like the smallest amount taller than the page. So it makes me think I can scroll and then I can't, which isn't a big deal. But I do think that I would just put that opt-in straight on my face, which I totally do on my site. Not currently, but a lot of times. I'll just put something right on my face and I don't even care. I would say, instead of using that MailChimp form, go ahead and put something, obviously you've got text right here. What if you, put another section over here that said the same thing? Or if you moved this left, because people tend to move left to right. So it would still make it secondary to, this single that you're launching or this album that you're launching. But having it on the right side allows them to kind of peruse the entire page that they landed on and then opt in, right? So I think it'd be better to have it on the page than in the pop-up. Personally, I think people dismiss pop-ups without even reading them a little bit too quickly. So, but otherwise, I think it's a cute landing page, personally. But you didn't ask me about that. You asked me about the pop-up. So, some pop-ups can work well, but MailChimp pop-ups are really difficult to stylize, so they don't do as well because it's like photo, white with black text, form, submit, right? So it just doesn't necessarily match your brand and the intent. So that's my 2 cents on that. All right, I'm going to check in on the comments right quick. Okay, Sky Titan Media said, I'll post the link below. Cool. I will refresh the page and check it out. I'm assuming your name is pronounced Jenny DeMerchant. If it is, if it's not, correct me, because people say my name wrong all the time and it makes me sad and I don't want to make you sad. But yes, you can totally get feedback on your fan finder in an audit session. That is part of what we do. So you're good to go. Lewis says, I don't have someone with me to help film, but I can use a room with just a wall. No kitchen background for the second one. Definitely will zoom in next time. Yeah, I know this as a bass player who sings in my band. It is always difficult when you're stuck behind a microphone, right? And I'm not going to pull a Britney Spears and get one of those, And so on stage, it's very rooting, right? So you lose some performance element that you might be able to do otherwise if you were carrying a microphone in your hand. Something that you could try is doing them in split screen, right? Which takes a little bit of editing skill, obviously, but that could be something that highlights your multi-talent, right? But also makes it a little bit more interesting to watch. I didn't hear if you have backing vocals in that, but I think that if you did, you could put another, voice kind of image in there as well. Now, that, sometimes that can come off obviously more produced than a live video, which is what we typically recommend in FanFinder. But it might just be something to test if you've got any skills or even want to develop like very simple skills, whether you've got, iMovie or any other like Premiere or Final Cut or any skills like that. iMovie doesn't really take a lot of skill. So that split screen could be cool to try, at least to test out, right? Because otherwise you're kind of stuck behind that mic stand. Something else that you could consider is I know you took a drink from the glass and I laughed at that, but you could also move further from behind the mic stand when you're playing guitar to kind of show that when you're not singing. So that's another way that you can kind of get movement even when someone can't help you. There are also some different gimbals and apps that will follow the subject. So that could be another option, but obviously that does cost more money. So something for consideration at least. Emma says, so for some reason I can't see the Facebook feed on the watch page. I had no idea what you guys meant either. I definitely posted in the wrong place. I'm so sorry. Yeah, sometimes the plugin is weird. Just do a hard refresh on the page and it should hopefully pop up. All right. Okay, so people are, here's the stuff. So yeah, make sure that you're posting your link below. I did refresh the page, so I'm going to check. All right, Atlas got his video in, so I'm going to take a look. We are running out of time, but I'm going to go a little bit over because I do want to try to get to those questions that were asked. Okay, so I'm going to share. First off, I love this font. I don't know if you like made this special for just the title or if you actually have a font for it, but I really dig it. I love that you've got this like Saturn kind of vibe to the S. I love that the T kind of goes outside. It's very dynamic, you know, it's a really cool way to present your brand. So I dig that. I wouldn't recommend using that font all over the place, even if you have it in a font, but it's cool to know that you could, if you could do that somewhere. All right, cool. So you've got your menu here. Follow on Spotify. Okay, cool. I love this cover too. Man, I'm just into this stuff. Something that could be cool. So, okay, just let me confirm. You have one album, right? Let me know if you can answer the question. There's also like a 25-second delay. So if you only have one, I would put the cover here and then just put small buttons below. You know, there's a lot of different thoughts on, you know, having Spotify players on your page or Apple Music players. The only thing about them with Spotify, if you aren't signed into Spotify and you play the song, it'll only play 30 seconds, which means you're not going to get credit for that stream. So if you instead send them straight to Spotify, then they have an opportunity to listen for more than 30 seconds, which if you have any intro that is, you know, over 30 seconds, you'll get them, right? So that's the only thought that I have there. There's a lot of call to action kind of happening, right? Is like, follow me on Spotify and like me on Facebook. If you were going to do that, I would say separate them, make them different columns so that they don't just like stack up on the left and have this blank space on the right. But that said, I'm down with this. I'm going to check out a couple of your sub pages here just for fun. Cool. See, this is so much easier to follow because it's like, it's a column and it's like, bam, it's all that content, right? You've got your music videos here, tight. I love this. I always love this like multicolor lighting look. I dig. Cool. It's also interesting because your font in your like reading your paragraph stuff kind of matches YouTube. So it doesn't really, like, it doesn't conflict with the YouTube branding, which is great. Oh, you are like a label brand. You've got multiple artists in here. Got it. Right? Or am I incorrect? Cool. I like this layout of the videos better than you have on the Chords of Eve page, right? they're really big, which I like these better as far as on the page. Something that I've also seen people do is put a screenshot instead of embedding them, right? If you have like beautiful imagery within your videos, which I mean, these definitely look like there's something cool going on, they'll put the thumbnail, and when people click the thumbnail, it'll go to YouTube. And that's one way that you can make sure that your really cool visuals are seen on a larger screen, but still have this, kind of grid layout. So that's an idea. I don't think that there's anything that I would, really recommend large improvement upon. Overall, it makes sense. So I just wish that this wasn't stacked. That's the only thing about the menu that I don't love. I love this visualization that happens around it as you go over it. So yeah, I'm into it though. Great job. I love that you have the different artists and then but you're keeping branding consistent for the label site. Makes sense to me. Cool. All right. Let me refresh here. I'm going to go a little over so I can try to get to questions. Refresh worked. Perfect. Here's what you posted before. You're moving to something funnel based in December, probably ClickFunnels, but about to run a fan finder. I want to invest that money in ads instead. I was just checking to see if I could make some improvements to my general web page until then, and if any design aspects are not working to carry forward to the funnel. I'll be running sign-up ads, nurturing, so sign-ups are my priority, followed by merch. Makes 100% sense to me. All right, so immediately you've got the opt-in here. Right. Dig that. This is a MailChimp form, I can tell. Yep, it's a MailChimp landing page. All right, cool. Just know that even though MailChimp says the Facebook pixel is integrated, it's only going to read your view content, right? So if I click here on Pixel Helper, it's doing the page view. It will not communicate to Facebook that you got an opt-in unless they've made leaps and bounds in development in the last 3 weeks. But the last time I checked, it doesn't actually track leads. So just so that you're tracking that, if you're running ads to a MailChimp landing page, you're not going to get any feedback from Facebook on how many opt-ins you got. So you'll have to discern yourself with intelligent guessing. All right, so you've got some teas here, you've got some videos, and you've got the music. I love the order of this, right? And I've talked about this before, but it's worth saying again that I really dig home pages that are stacked with kind of the progression of things, right? And just to, show you guys my site, because if you go to my site, you're going to get retargeted like a mad person. So I'm going to show you instead. So this is my site. I'm obviously heavily maked up here. The first thing that's here is this random button, right? And the reason I do this is because I send people to the site from a ad for my TuneSpeak campaign. So it's like right there. People who know what that is know what it is. If you click on it, it goes to my TuneSpeak page, which is also pixeled. I'm giving away some things, so that's what's happening there. I've got the menu up here, and again, this is just my home page, right? So I've got the whole, welcome, and then the order of things is an opt-in. The very first thing is kind of like an album launch, but it's evergreen now. So that's the first thing that's here. I do have the music here just for people who are looking for that. But then I have another, a little bit different version of an opt-in, which is a messenger bot that people can play around and rack up points and, get a free prize, get, mailbox kind of stuff. Then I've got an actual merch sale item, which is the greatest hits that is coming out next year. So I like when home pages are ordered in this way where they can kind of step themselves up in the buddy system And that's exactly what you've done on your page, Emma. So that's why I like that. We have got the permission stage, right? And then affirmation, which is that first purchase. And then you've got some content, which is always valuable to have on your website. I also love that you've got these links down at the bottom, but you've decided to do nothing in the top menu. And I think that that's totally fine when you don't have a ton of organic traffic coming to your site, right? Because you're still building. So I dig it. It looks good to me, girl. Cool. All right. So I am going to check on the comments. Look good. Your DAW is running on the screen. Got it. Since you're wearing glasses, I would say move that so that it's not reflecting. You could definitely move it off to the side, or even put the screen to sleep just while you're recording. I know when you're recording things, it's always like you want to check and make sure that it's still running. But it does make it look, it is the only kind of thing that kind of threw me off about your video. So Emma says sneaky. I'll get a new form for sure. Yeah, MailChimp is sneaky, which is why I've lost my love for MailChimp lately, which really makes me sad because I know most indies use it. They've just gotten too stacked. They're just putting in all these things and they're not great. All right, so now we're going to go back to questions. We got James. He says, any new updates on green light countries? Yeah, if you go into the green light warmth boosting, there is a sheet. There's access to a Google Doc, actually, that has green light countries that are all of my green light countries. I say my because we don't necessarily all think the exact same thing here at Indiepreneur. And we've not really yet come to a complete consensus on green light countries. So I have my list of green light countries in my training, which is the green light warmth boosting training. But that is a document that I am updating consistently. I'm running ads internationally all the time, and I'm constantly testing different countries and getting a read on green light and, ones that are kind of starting to get away from us. Japan was one that I was really sad to remove from the green light country list because I have a lot of fans there, but it was obviously running away from the rest of the countries. And one way that you can also check this is in your own ads whenever you're running them. If you look at the country delivery, right? If you see a country that's running away and taking all the budget, chances are you've hit some spam. So it's definitely something to watch out for. TJ asks if it's safer or more advised just to run to the big six. I don't. That's where we don't hit consensus because I sell a lot to Germany, Denmark, Netherlands, the UK, which obviously is one of the big six. But I sell a lot to non-big six countries, and they have stayed completely clean for me. So I'm not going to take them out. So that is what I'm using to update that list. And I run a lot of ads on my music. So I'm very confident in the countries that I recommend. So I'll just say that. That document, for those of you who don't know, also outlines some ways to reduce spam. If you are, like, say you live in France and France is not on the list, there are instructions there to kind of outline how you can still try to target your country, but also, make sure that they don't run away from you and take over all of the countries that you're running to. Same thing with Spain. We have a lot of indies from Spain. So, and we have a lot of just indies from international countries all over. So it would be kind of difficult for us to just be like, all you can run to is the big six. Why does mail do that? I'm going to turn off that screen share because my mail keeps popping up. So we want to make sure to have solutions to those who don't live in green light countries, because obviously keeping both products and fan building within your own country so that you can tour locally, so that you can ship locally, is advantageous. So be sure you check out that document. Those are countries I'm constantly running ads to, and I'm watching them very closely. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. All right. Ian asked a quick question unrelated to auditing. I was curious where you were getting your LED acrylic lights made and cost. All right. So hold a second. I'm going to grab said lamp so I can show it to you. But the answer is that Full Stack merch is actually, we're going through prototyping right now, and we made it. So our goal at Full Stack merch is to find very interesting and creative merch solutions for indies that they can get in a very short run, and not have to pay $1 million or pay for an order of 100. So hold one second and I will grab it for you. All right, so I'm going to show this to you guys right quick. Sorry for the dead air. So this is a lamp that I prototyped with my own content, but we've got this LED base. This one actually changes color, which you can't really see very well. There we go. So it just has my lyrics, and this is my greatest hits album graphic, and then has my name and logo at the bottom. And we have a laser engraver that actually takes this acrylic and can drill in any design that you want. So that is something that we made here. So the base costs roughly $6, and the acrylic costs maybe $1 per sheet. And we can get about, depending on the size, we can get 4 or 5 out of a single sheet of acrylic. Now, obviously, we have to charge for depreciation on the equipment, but we'll probably be able to do those at cost of, maybe $8, $9. So that's something we developed. Something else I'll share with you that my fans don't even know about yet. I'm selling a limited edition version of my greatest hits album. And so something that I developed for that product is these authentication plates, which I'm going to try to get the camera to focus on. But essentially, it looks like brushed metal. It's actually acrylic, and I actually engraved in it an individual number, right? These take about 5 minutes with the laser engraver to develop. And they're going to go into this limited edition set, but they cost maybe, all things considered, about 50 cents to produce. When it arrives to the fan, it's going to feel like way more than a 50% item, right? And it makes that limited edition album super special, especially because it's numbered, right? And it's not just numbered with a Sharpie, it's numbered like engraved into the item. So those are the kinds of things that Full Stack merch is currently producing, and not to just plug my own stuff right now, but we're actually going to be working with some indies to prototype and develop different merchandise at cost to, just kind of diversify and see what cool things we can make for indies, and then be able to offer those community wide. So you can keep a lookout for that, because I will be looking for indies that have creative ideas that maybe have, not been able to purchase those things just because of simple cost. We're really dedicated to helping indies improve their margins and get really creative about ideating their merchandise. At least, you guys know I'm the merch nerd. So there you go, Ian. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to do a little plug for Full Stack merch. Okay. Full Stack merch also does fulfillment. So if any of you are international and you're selling to the US and you want to look for a low cost way to fulfill within the US so that you don't have to charge such high shipping costs to send to the US. Full Stack Merch does that as well. So, plug complete. All right, I'm going to answer Jacob's question. I am thinking about switching my fan finder to this music video that was doing okay. I know it's not quiet, a live video, but do you think it might work, seeing that the intro is kind of performance-based? Or should we try and make this content a straightforward one-shot performance video? I think you can do a lot of different things, right? And you should test it. Do as many things as you can reasonably, right? And test them against each other, because though candid performance does tend to do the best, it's less special than it used to be, right? Because everybody's live streaming, there's candid video everywhere. So it's not necessarily so much more productive as it was before, because we were comparing to, high production music video stuff, and multiple different formats work. So that's kind of what I have to say about that. If you can produce both, I would. Okay, we are 20 minutes over, so I am going to call it a day. If you left a question and I did not get to it, I'm really sorry. But there's a Q&A session next week, so I highly suggest that you come with all of your random questions, right? The burning questions that you have. Also, you can always post in the Indie Pro group. One of us on the staff is in there every single day at least. I'm in the group pretty much every day. Obviously, don't tag us in any posts, but Gracie will flag us to answer any questions that are not being answered, to make sure that everybody's getting some feedback as much as we can. So if you have questions in the meantime, feel free to post in there, and have a great day. It was fun hanging out with you guys, and I'm stoked that we got to do it. So have a great rest of your week. Okay.